spotlight. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
Actually, that would be a good conversation to bring up ChatGPT and what I'm doing with it, if that's appropriate.
Absolutely. But yeah, so we're back talking about video games and AI and whether using AI is cheating or not. Sorry, I'm going to get a bit close to the microphone there. And you're particularly talking about video games, Ricky, but let's hold off on that for a second, because that could get quite dense and technical. So let's just talk about, like, AI has become a lot more user friendly and a lot more common. Like, it's everywhere now. And so yeah, let's just check in about like what it's like now to have AI generally. Can I start?
Yeah, please.
Because I use AI all the time, and I use it like personally. I probably use it more in my work than I do in my just general kind of personal everyday stuff. So I use AI to with music, when I'm making music with people, and if someone has a favorite song and they want to play an instrument along to it, I can use AI to remove that instrument from the original track so that the person who's playing their instrument is the only person playing it. So I use that a lot with drumming. So people like to use like the controllers and keyboards that I have to play drums. So if they want to play along to their favorite song, it's more satisfying if you take the drums out and just let them be the only drummer. You can make karaoke songs as well. Ricky's camera is flashing there. That's something, I think that's the light settings on your camera. So sorry about that. I can't fix it on the fly. So if someone, you can make karaoke versions of songs really easy with AI these days as well. They just take out the vocals and then you just sing over it yourself. It's good for learning music. So if I want to learn a guitar part for a song and I can't quite make it out, I can take the guitar part out of the song using AI. I can slow it down, I can speed it up, I can learn the song that way.
Actually, how good is that? Like in quality language, like would it be really pretty sounding, or would it be, would the clarity be proper?
I've been very happy with it. I mean, it depends on how, like, if it's a very noisy song, it can be very hard for the AI to pick out individual instruments. But like, there's someone I work with who plays drums along with country music. When you take the drums out, it sounds perfect. When you put new drums in, it sounds perfect. Like it's very smooth and very accurate. I'm very impressed by it. But technically that's not cheating. That's just doing something new with the music. I think that kind of doesn't count as cheating. But there is something that I do that people might have that I kind of have to think about, which is I also use AI to summarize journal articles for me.
Okay, I like that. So how do you do this?
Well, there's a particular AI that I use that's subscription based, so you have to pay for it.
Okay.
And it allows you to upload documents, and you can say, summarize this document to so many words. Now, if it's 2,000 words, you'll get a good bit of detail. If it's 1,000 words, you'll get bullet points. But if it's 1,000 words, some detail has been lost. You're going to miss something. So you can't overdo it. So you can ask it to summarize to a certain amount. Now that doesn't stop me from reading the article. It just lets me know if this article is worth my time. So I get it, I ask it to summarize it. I scan the summary and go, actually, that bit's interesting. Then I go back to the article and I read that bit in more detail. Saves a bit of time. But what AI is very good for as well, when you do it this way, when you upload the document, is you can ask it questions about the document. You can say, well, what does this document say about this? And then it tells you, and then so you can you're reading it, but you're just reading it in a different way. It's more like interviewing someone. You're interviewing the document instead of reading it start to finish, then analyzing it, then summarizing it and picking out the bits that you need. So I find that very useful because I only have so much time to kind of work on these ideas, the ideas for my work. But yeah, some people might say that's
but I suppose,
a shortcut.
I suppose even the act of actually using AI to do what you wanted to do, that not tricks the mind, but that kind of gets the mind to say, okay, well, I'm interested in this now. It kind of rewires the brain in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what you would call it.
What I tell myself, whether it's true or not, is that it's all about the idea. It's all about the idea that I'm pursuing, and how authentic.
I think it's because interactive that you're actually taking part in actually doing it. That the brain kind of thinks, oh, this is fun, this is great. And it can open a lot more. Your mind can open a lot more to the material that's presented to you.
Now, the thing is, if I was to write an essay or an article or a presentation on these ideas, it would be cheating if I used AI to do that. So because when you're doing presentations and you're using other people's work, you have to be able to reference it accurately and fairly. So like when I'm doing this for myself, it's fine. All I want to know is how to use this idea in my work, and that could apply to anything. Anything that you might like to read about. Instead of having to read the whole thing, you can upload it and then just ask it questions that interest you and put it together that way.
And I like doing that because it gives me a challenge.
Yeah. So you're engaged. Your brain is engaged. Yes. You're not trying to avoid work. You're just doing the work differently. At least that's what I would say.
Definitely.
I thought I had more to say about that. But yeah, you can't how I thought about it was, if you think of AI as like an assistant. So like, and people, this is what Alexa is, this is what Siri is. They're like virtual assistants. So someone like, save me going to a dictionary and tell me what this word means. Like if we were a high-flying corporate, I don't know, and whoever has an assistant, like a judge has assistants who read all the documents and summarize them for him. AI is just that for everybody. It's not something that only high status people can have. So but you still have to be able to trust that the AI can do it well, and that you have to be able to catch it out. There are times when I've caught AI out saying something that it then had to walk back or roll back on when I asked it about it, so AI can make mistakes.
What I found when a lot of people say this on YouTube, and it's the truth, when it comes to ChatGPT, you have to give it as much information as possible. Because if you want to give it so much information on what you want it to do or what you want from it, it might understand clearly what that is you're looking for. So as much information as you can, as much detail as you can is key. So in that sense, though, I think it's like for people they can't retain details, that might be a bit difficult.
Yeah. But the problem there is not necessarily about how much detail you give ChatGPT, but it's more about what ChatGPT does when it doesn't have enough detail. It guesses. And that's the problem. It doesn't tell you I don't know or I don't have enough information. So I once asked, I think I told this story before, and this is very boring and very dry, so we are going to get on to more interesting stuff when Ricky starts talking about his side of things. I asked it about a thing called developmental music therapy, which is a kind of music therapy that I use that there's only one book about. And I just wanted to test it. I wanted to see how much access it had to information. So I asked it about developmental music therapy, and it gave me an answer I knew it had made up, because it just took the word developmental and the definition of that, and the word music therapy and the definition of that, and it just matched them together, and it guessed. And I had to I had a lot of fun correcting ChatGPT that day, and it apologized to me. Like, it tried to play on my emotions, like, I'm sorry I made this mistake, I hope you can forgive me, I'm just a language learning model. It's like,
okay, but there's a line. Like, we have to see, does it actually take mistakes and actually
again, it's not that it doesn't learn, but it's what it learns from. So it's never going to learn what developmental music therapy is, because it doesn't have access to that text. So,
but you were given it information.
I didn't tell it what developmental music therapy was. I just told it that it wasn't what it said it was, what it guessed it was. So anyway, so that's, that's the limits are quite set, because it is based on just what information it can access, and and a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't think that it's copyright infringement for AI to have access to copyrighted material, which limits what it can know.
But that's a bit narrow-minded, because if you think about it, the internet is copyright material anyway, open internet, and ChatGPT, all that's doing is accessing the internet. So,
in some ways, but what if let's say I'm a Stephen King fan, I like the books of Stephen King, and ChatGPT has access to all the books of Stephen King. I can say to ChatGPT, write me a Stephen King book, and I'm not going to pay for it for free. So instead of buying the Stephen King books, I'm going to get ChatGPT to just write them for me, because it can analyze his style. And even better, I can tell it what to write the books about. That is kind of exciting.
But can you not do that by yourself, by scrolling through the internet and looking at Stephen King's books and looking on how he writes and what style?
Well, I mean, you're talking about fan fiction and that kind of thing. No, but that takes effort. I'm talking about just getting AI to give me a book that I don't have to pay for, or write me a song that I don't have to pay for. Like that kind of thing. That's what the copyright argument is about. Val says here, Copilot is great. It helps her a lot. I haven't tried Copilot yet.
No, I haven't either, and I don't know how good the voice recognition is on Copilot.
Well, that's a good question. Do you use voice recognition for that, or is it just in Microsoft Word or like text-based things that you use it for? Voice recognition is going to be a game changer as soon as AI gets better at that. That's for sure.
Well, I hope so. I was talking to my friend about this, and he was like, "Well, I can tell you in a couple of years' time, voice recognition will be able to pick everything you say up and as a no and down. You're relying on different tones."
No, that's true. But look at that Beatles documentary where all the audio was cleared up through AI from microphones that were halfway across the room. Like that kind of sound separation was amazing. And what I'm interested in seeing is voice macros, where the system doesn't have to understand every word you say. It just has to know that if you say green elephant, that means turn on the lights. Like where specific commands can be assigned to specific functions, rather than it understanding the command in terms of meaningfulness and in terms of clarity. You know what I mean?
The phone though. I cannot understand this. ChatGPT, when I talk into ChatGPT, it recognizes what I'm saying but most of the time it can mess up particular parts of what I'm saying. Yeah. It doesn't fully analyze the context in which I'm saying, what I'm saying, how I'm saying it.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't recognize that and build smartly kind of say, okay, he meant to say this.
Yeah, well, I see what you mean. Yeah. So like filling the gaps, yes. Which is a dangerous thing to do. Even my Google speaker at home makes mistakes when I ask it for a particular song, or if it's a song that it just doesn't have, it will find the nearest thing according to the sound of what I said. So like these are the shortcuts.
Almost like predictive text, but predictive voice.
Exactly. But guesswork as well, which is risky. So Val says that she uses the speech recognition on Copilot. I'm going to have to spend time with that because I've got that now as well. It seems to be standard with Word, but 365 now.
Yeah, but how good is it when it comes to Apple products? I'm sorry, I like iPads, I do, but Apple, when it comes to voice recognition, no.
But this is PC. Copilot is Microsoft. Microsoft. But again, it works well for Val. So I'll take that recommendation.
I did try the Google voice recognition. Again, no. ChatGPT is much better.
Did you do the training cycle where it makes you say certain words over and over again until it's? No. So that's maybe what because I've had to do that and now it's very good for me. Basically, like I was telling someone about this yesterday. I had speech recognition software about 20 years ago, just that someone had given me, and it wouldn't work for me at all because it couldn't do an Irish accent. It just so yeah, if you weren't speaking in a very American accent, it couldn't understand you at all. So things have come along a lot way. But you to bring it back to you because we're warming to the subject now and we might have time for a guest. I forgot to get Dean actually. Yeah. You were talking about writing video games using AI.
No
video game. Sorry. Code for video game controllers, accessibility options for. I jumped ahead to writing video games themselves. That's where it gets interesting because I have something to say about that. So okay, so we've talked a lot about how video game controllers are not terribly accessible, and the video games themselves are not accessible in terms of.
Don't even get me started. Video games themselves, and a lot of video games don't have options. They really don't. Or if they do, they have very little options in regards to accessibility.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's ridiculous at this day and age. Even I play a simulator. I call I think I mentioned this. A supermarket simulator.
Supermarket simulator. A video game where you get to work in a supermarket.
Exciting. Anyway,
I worked in a supermarket for real. I would never play that video game. That's.
Look. Anyway, it is what's called a radial wheel, and believe it or not.
So a radial wheel is just a thing that comes up on your screen that's like a circle, and you use your mouse to pick particular options from it. Yeah.
Now the problem with this is you have to hold down a button, a key on the keyboard, and move your mouse to whatever you need, whatever you want. The problem with this is if you are a one-handed player, it's impossible to do this. So like little things like this makes a big difference. I made up a code. I downloaded ChatGPT made up a code. I downloaded a program called Auto Hot Key. And what it does is it binds different keys on the keyboard together. And I think it does macros. Well,
that is the macro and a hotkey or some similar things.
Anyway, I asked ChatGPT to have the tab key as a toggle. So what a toggle is you press it once, it keeps it pressed, and you press it again, and it goes off. So you don't have to hold it down constantly.
Yeah.
And it walks right away.
And that's afterwards courtesy of the Enable Ireland Assistive Technology Department, wasn't it? It was suggested to you by Auto Hockey.
Wasn't.
Oh, you didn't get that from?
No.
Oh, you were going to show it to
Yes.
the assistive technologists. Okay, there we go. So Ricky's ahead of the game here.
Sorry, I totally clarified.
I misunderstood. That's my fault. Okay, hold that thought, or at least describe that a little bit more for a second, because I'm going to see if there's someone who might like to get in on this. I'll be back shortly.
Yeah, so you combine different keys together to come up with a macro key. So in my case, I managed to put a toggle on one of the keys to hold the key while I'm moving my mouse. So I physically don't have to keep the key pressed down. I can press it once and the radial wheel will stay on, and then when I press it again, it will go off. It's so simple, but yet really, really effective. It really works. So like, stuff like this isn't in every game. And I honestly don't understand why. I really don't, because it's so simple. It doesn't even change how the game is played. When you have options like this. It really makes a difference.
So what that really means is that you could rewrite. What is that noise? I think your chair is.
Oh no, that's just the foot there.
Oh, I see.
Open up the wheel.
So it just means that like you could rewrite any controller for anything, like any person who uses their computers for particular things, you could rewrite the physical aspects of that yourself. Am I saying that?
Now,
accurately?
there's a bit of argument going on in the moment, because and one of the arguments I can understand, I can 100% understand this. So now when you have a game that's all based online and they don't allow this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, competition based.
And that I can completely understand, because if everyone was entitled to mapping keys online, they could cheat.
Yes,
it does. But at the same time, offline, I don't think it's a big deal. Offline, if you play a single player game, but most developers don't mind, but
Is this a silly idea then, that there should be some kind of online gaming version of the Paralympics where everyone is, where adaptive methods are allowed within certain limits, you know?
Yeah,
sorry, explain it again to me.
So like, because if we compare it to competitive sports, you have the Olympics and you have the Paralympics and you have the Special Olympics, and people in the Paralympics are allowed to use augmentative or supportive or adaptive means to take part in that sport, that if able-bodied people were to use them would give them an unfair advantage. You know what I mean? That's so, I don't know.
There is a thing, Jason, called esports.
Yes, that's what I mean. So we're talking about competitive gaming, but a version of competitive gaming that allows you to do the accessibility things that you need, so that you're not locked out of competitive gaming by the rules against modding or the rules against adaptive programming. We're getting
It's a really complicated topic, because you can actually get what's called gaming keyboards which supports macro mapping, but nobody seems to have a problem when it comes to keyboards. But if you map macro mapping to a piece of software, then it becomes an issue.
I think it's just because you can, your options are more when you're going straight to the code, to the software, I think. So can I just fill Dean in? Dean, you're welcome. We're talking about AI and kind of a check-in about how our use of AI has changed or become more kind of normalised. So I was talking about how I use AI to split songs into tracks to remove tracks if people want to, sing over them or play over them. And I also use AI to summarise journal articles when I don't have time to read them in full. But which I feel slightly conflicted with. And Ricky's talking about that you can now use AI to write code. And I made the mistake of jumping ahead and saying, well, he writes code to remap the playing options of certain video games, the accessibility options of video games, which is amazing. It's very clever. We need to actually formalize that in some way because that could be very useful to people. And I jumped ahead again to say, well, why not just design video games using AI? Because you can write, I know programmers who use, professional programmers working on a global level who use AI to write code that they need. And there is a program called Unity. Have you heard of Unity?
This is a video game software.
It's a software for making video games, and it's for amateurs to make video games as a hobby. But it got so good that people were making these video games that then became popular and commercialized.
That's like Unreal.
Yeah, but it's easier than Unreal because the inputs, it's way more streamlined. So you'll often buy a cheap game and it will say made in Unity, and that just means someone made it, put it online, it got popular, and then got published. The reason I'm glad you're here, Dean, is because I think you could get ChatGPT to write Unity code for a simple game based on your prompts. I think that would be really interesting, and the reason I like that Dean is here is because we've been doing story breaks and things like that. So you could just say, you could create your narrative and create your game mechanics just off the top of your head. Even you could just
how about doing it? How about doing it then? Of the two of us.
Could I just go back slightly a sec? Would it be okay if I went back slightly a second to the whole idea of using assistive technology in the competitive
sports?
Very good.
I do know, at least I assume that in the fighting game community, specifically Street Fighter, within the kind of competitive Street Fighter community, they do allow assistive technology, because there's one really famous player called Brawly Legs who plays the game with his face.
But I've seen those videos. He's great. But he plays the standard controller, doesn't he?
He does does he?
I think he does. Yeah, he's that's what's so great about him, is that he's able to use his whole face to hit all the buttons. I don't think he uses anything assistive.
All right.
But it took him a long time. That was real dedication. And to the point where I think physically, he was getting calluses on his face and things like that from playing. But he's a great example of disability gaming we've seen.
And again, he wouldn't need to do that much if coding was a thing. That's the good thing about coding is it can adapt anything you want it to adapt. So I'm sorry, can we look over there? So I keep looking back at
Oh, no,
you.
I'm not here. Now that you two are on camera, I'm not here. But then that brings the question of, well, if you make something too easy, does it stop being fun?
Funny enough, I've come across games and they're good boring, but yet there's the opposite. If the game is too hard, it stops being fun.
Well, that's true.
So, what line do you have to? What line do you cross? You know what I mean? So I think a sweet spot has to be introduced. Well, it's not too hard, but yet not too easy. But then you can make it as hard or as easy as possible.
I like that. But yeah, so that's what you think acting?
I would agree. Like there's Souls, like I've tried to play a couple of times and I can't get past the first.
Yeah, they're viciously hard. So I played Bloodborne.
Yeah.
It broke my heart. But I like games to be. There's a sweet spot, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I suppose that's with anything. That is a premise of assistive technology, as I understand it, is that the fit between the user and the interface has to be right, and you can't make a task too easy or too hard.
Yeah.
It has to, that's what you have to be motivated to
See, that's the beauty about having assistive features or accessibility features. So you can turn them off. If you don't need them, you don't have to use them.
Yeah.
If you need them, they're there. So it's just
I'm trying to think even like what other things that applies to. Like I think of, like when I learned the violin as a child.
Yeah.
The violin teacher would put strips of paper underneath the strings to show you where your fingers go to hit notes correctly. Like that's the same thing. That's an assistant that helped me work out where the notes were, and as soon as I practiced enough and learned enough, those stabilizers on a bike, like all those things, they're all a version of the same thing. Right?
And I think a lot of people, because I saw a lot of debate over this, people think, games it's all art and you shouldn't change the dynamic of the game. You're not changing anything, you're just putting in options so everyone else can join in, can play the game to their own degree of level. Their own level. And I think people are forgetting this. And I think I'm not sure, but I would hate if this was the case. I would hate to think that people are with that kind of mind frame are in actually the gaming community. When big game companies, I don't know, but I would hate to think that's the case, because if it is, then...
Well, that's another thing, because within every community,
there's gatekeepers.
There are the purists and the gatekeepers who say, like, well, it's not, you can't join because that's not the real, that's not real gaming, or that's not real music, or that's not real whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's just what some people are like,
Yeah.
I do want to ask, since we have a few minutes left, instead of quote of the day or instead of story break, could we, first of all, I'm going to talk to my programmer friend about using ChatGPT or whatever version to write games in Unity according to just simple prompts. Write me a game where you have to jump over a thing, or like Super Mario, like write me a game where you have to jump over a thing and everything looks like food. I don't know.
If you want to make a game kind of like Mario, you'd kind of be better off doing it in Game Maker.
Okay.
Because I think Unity is more 3D.
Fair enough. But
can you not ask ChatGPT to make a 3D world?
You can. I'm just wondering how good the prompts are. So what would our game be if we were to design a game? So Dean, you're the story man. What's the narrative?
God.
Put you on the spot.
Well, what kind of game is it first?
Well, we'll work that up next. So if I'm going to give you the role as you're the story designer, and Ricky is the mechanics guy, the game mechanics guy.
Yeah.
So if you say what would your game be about, Ricky can say what genre that would be, what mechanic that would be.
How about like a space epic? I don't know, something like Metroid maybe, but then what's the story?
Let's talk pure narrative. Like what's the story of the game? What are the characters? What's the setting? What's the goal?
You're a normal everyday Joe person, say in a wheelchair.
Right.
And you're walking along there one day, and next you get beamed up to space.
Okay.
And enlisted in some galactic army, because there's a big galactic war going on, and the reason why they chose someone from Earth was because Earth is like the last neutral planet.
I like it.
Okay.
They've discovered an ancient weapon from a space civilization hundreds of years ago or whatever, but none of them can control it. But it just so happens through some contrivance that the weapon is controlled similar to, say, your power chair.
Very good. Okay.
And
I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
so they've chosen you, a power chair user, to come up and wield this ancient weapon for them.
Excellent. Okay.
And win the war.
Can I tell you just after a quick Google? There is only one video game where a protagonist or a character is a wheelchair user, and that's the South Park game.
Oh, Timmy.
And there's one or two. Very few. So you'd be really breaking the mold if you got that going. It's a great concept. Okay, so Ricky, take it away. So a video game where the main character's kind of armor weapon system resembles the layout of a power chair. What would that game look like?
Wasn't.
And what would the controls be? Anything, whatever you come up.
So one the X or Y axis would have to be swapped in order to for use of access for anyone who can play one in one hand. What I mean is the camera pan left to right on either the left or right analog stick while moving up and back at the same time. That's just what it does unnecessary want or requirement. Next to it would be toggle switches to maybe toggle the weapons or whatever that may be off back on again. Maybe assistive aiming as well.
Do you think it would be first person or third person? Would you be seeing what the character sees, or would you be seeing the character on the screen?
I would like to say it would be first person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking something along the lines of, say, like a really dangerous type of...
Yeah, I got that when you were saying what the story would be like, kind of Elite Dangerous right away. with the aliens in that.
Yeah, like a dog, like a space dog fighter kind of.
Okay, so you're actually in space and it's a spaceship kind of thing.
Yeah, or yeah.
Or yeah, okay, yeah. I think that's a good start, and that's a premise and a mechanic straight away.
Did you ever see any of the old Star Wars games for PC years ago where it's basically you control like a TIE fighter?
Yes, in fact I have it on my PlayStation because I have it.
And I suppose I would need to have not tightly snapping grid, so it doesn't snap right on, but it snaps a little bit onto the target. So it doesn't make it too easy, but it doesn't, at the same time, it doesn't make it too difficult either.
Like the Star Wars games you're talking about, I have that because I have a retro kind of arcade thing on my PlayStation. The Star Wars thing, the cursor always snaps back to the middle, which I find really frustrating. It's hard to aim, but again, you can make that part of the game. Like saying that. Okay. I realise this is very boy stuff, isn't it?
Actually, that you would need pixel detection for that.
Okay.
That aim and assist.
Excellent. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, hitboxes and that kind of thing. Okay, well, I mean, let's keep going with this. I'll talk to my friend, and we might do a whole thing about how quickly we can put a game together. And anyone who wants to try it out then can.
Interesting to see.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Well, it might be time for us to start wrapping up.
And if it's any good, we could maybe upload it to each channel.
Very good. Yeah. Or Newgrounds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of amateur games.
And as well as the accessibility of films, I don't think you would be able to add accessibility features into it. It would just be
part of the design. Or at least you're designing it for your accessibility, and then if someone who has difficulty with that needs to remap it, that's up to them. But I suppose I wonder.
Just be good to showcase these accessibility features as well.
Well, that's one thing I didn't mention is, would there be some kind of intent of a commentary about accessibility, or making a comment about what it's like to be a wheelchair user? Like, would the game give someone an experience of that? Would you bring in disability issues, or would that be?
Yeah, be interesting to get an able-bodied person and a disabled person and get them to play the game, the same game, and see what the components and board experience.
Yeah. I will say as well, I think I've shown you, I'm going to show this. I've shown you a music this. Not the one that's fell on the floor, obviously. But I've shown this on the show before. This is the composer device. So I'm going to show it on camera now. So it's a music device, but it's shaped like a joystick or like the controllers of a wheelchair. And you can play music with it when it's connected to a computer, but this can also be used to play games. So you could have a proprietary. We could get a sponsorship deal with Composer, so you have to buy one of these to get the game.
Actually, that's really joystick.
Yeah.
So we could map the movements, a camera and the movements, and do joystick like that.
Yeah, exactly. And also some wheelchairs have very good Bluetooth connections to connect the joystick of a chair to a computer.
So like this, we could put the toggles and those switch there.
Yeah.
And
so then it would be familiar to anyone who's ever used a wheelchair. Your indicator button would do something, your horn button would do something, your light button would do something. And interesting. Let's see how far we get. But yeah, these things can be remapped as video game controllers.
and actually up and down we come up. Looking up and down we come up. And talking about it today, so when you need to look up and down, you can talk on the button quickly and look up and down.
There we go.
Press it again and down.
Yeah,
You know movement.
like the way you do it in Elite Dangerous, where you press the stick in
Yeah.
to change view modes, whether you're looking in the cockpit or...
That's it.
Oh, yes, or outside.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay. Right, these ideas are copyrighted to Dean and Ricky. No one's allowed to go and sell these ideas to any big video game companies.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Or even small indie ones.
Okay.
Actually, I would love to work with small indie games where most of them are pretty good, to be honest. They don't get enough.
I agree.
Well, have you ever heard of a game called Doom, Ricky?
Yeah,
One of the guys who originally made Doom in the 90s actually has a studio in Galway now.
What?
Yeah. John Romero.
Interesting. Okay, so we're gonna make some connections while we're at it. So thanks for watching, everybody.
And thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week. And I think it's going. Yeah, it'll be Glenn on next week. And yeah, thanks for being here. Have a good week.
Bye.